All right, guys, let's go over a little bit of nomenclature, right? So, two different types of shotguns here, but kind of the same premise. Start from the front to the back. So, the business end, and again, this is cleared and safed. The business end of the barrel is called a muzzle, all right? So, that's where the bullet comes out. Then you got the barrel, front sight, magazine tube. You got your fore end here. In this case, it's got a flashlight built in. This is an aftermarket accessory. Great idea for home defense. You have your action bars, which push back on your bolt and help cycle the action and feed the rounds. Moving further back, the receiver is the main portion of the gun. So the receiver is where the serial number is on the gun. That's the main portion of the gun. Down here, you have I think they call it elevator or lifter. Basically takes the shell that comes out of the magazine tube, puts it on there, and as you work the action or in a semi-automatic as it feeds, it will load it up onto the bolt underneath the extractor and into the chamber. So moving on, the main part you have in here that feeds, extracts, and even fires the round is the bolt, and you have a little hook in there that hooks onto the rim of the case. And helps, feeding and extraction as well. All right. Moving further back, you got the trigger guard, and inside of that is the trigger. You have an action release. Now, each gun is going to have a different type of action release. So what does the action release do? Well, it's simple. So with semi-automatic shotguns, and again, this gun is clear and safe. So right now, let's say I want to load it up. So to load it, I have to open the action. I mean, I can just load the magazine tube and leave it alone, but if I want a round in the chamber, there's two ways to do it. One, not recommended, but pull the trigger, and now the action will move back. Once you work the action, it resets it, and now I can't get the action to come back unless I pull the trigger. Again, not the recommended technique. Or I use the action release. So on this Remington 870, there's a little lever right here. I just push that in, and I can work the action without pulling the trigger, all right? On the Mossberg 590, the action release is right here. Just a little tab back there. I don't know how well I can see on the camera, but basically, again, gun clear and safe, but I can't work the action. If I pull the trigger, then I can. Or, again, if I push in on this action release, I can. So, obviously not the recommended technique, especially at home, to be messing around and just pulling the trigger to get the action to work, because if you had a live round in there and you pull the trigger to work the action, you're going to set the gun off, right? So, unless you're on the range shooting or out hunting, or you have to shoot, a person, when you want to open that action, you just push in on the action release button and then work the action. All right, so there's the action release. Safety. So again, two different guns, two different styles of safety. So on this Mossberg, this is a 590A1. It's got a kind of a beefed up safety. It's right here on the top. Push forward for fire and pull back for put it on safe. So when it's pulled back, I pull the trigger, gun won't fire. I push it forward, obviously the gun fires. I work the action to cycle it, and I'm good to go. I'm done shooting, I put it back on safe. So when I'm not shooting, safety's on. My ready position, fingers straight outside the trigger guard along the frame of the gun. Thumbs on the safety, ready to disengage it. I made the decision to shoot. I come up, I drop the safety, fire the gun, work the action, fire again if I need to. When I'm done firing, fingers straight, safety back on. In the case of the Remington, the safety's over here. It's a cross bolt safety. So my ready position's here. I just push in on the safety to disengage it, and then finger on the trigger. When I'm done, come back over here with my thumb and hit it from the other side. One of the pros to the Mossberg versus the Remington, you can already kind of get the feel for it if you're a lefty, is like, how do you disengage the safety? So you got to either do some kind of funky ready position where the gun's cockeyed like this, and this is not how a Remington normally comes. It comes with a straight hunting style stock, or a stock like is on this other gun here. So you'd be grabbing it up here. So I haven't come up with a way for a lefty to disengage that safety. So if you're looking at purchasing one, that's one of the things I like, about the Mossberg, is it's got that safety that you can work lefty or righty, the same up on the top there. So that's the safety. Moving further back, I'll use this since it's more along the lines of a standard stock, is your stock, all right? People refer to this as the comb, like the top part of the stock. You got your pistol grip part of it. You've got the rear of the buttstock, so you got the toe, which is the bottom portion, and then the heel, this part up here, all right? There's a whole bunch of different stocks. This one I can configure, I pull this out, I can turn it, I can take it off, put on different stocks, I can change the height of the comb, I can change the length of pull on this, a whole bunch of different things you can do. It's got ambi swing swivels, I added this to them. And then this one over here on the Remington has an adjustable stock as well for different lengths. It also has some springs in here to help with recoil mitigation. Yeah, it might a little bit, I don't know. I don't know, I'm totally sold that it really reduces the recoil, but it's very similar to an AR-15 style buttstock. So real quick, you talk about fitting a shotgun. Generally what you want to see is find your length of pull. So the heel of the buttstock, if you put that in the crook of your arm, your finger should lay right on the trigger. In this case, it's too short, so if I lengthen it a bit, now it's just right. It's in my arm is bent, heel's in here, and I can put my finger right on the trigger. So that's the way to find the proper length of pull for you, the proper setup for the stock for your, just trying to think of a better way to explain it, but just for your comfort level, how the stock should be set up. They make different size stocks, adjustable stocks, and whatever. But basically, what you're looking for is if you put it in the crook of your arm, your finger should rest right on the trigger itself. All right, not all the way past and not too short. All right. So there's stocks. What else? Both of these, again, same kind of concept. Barrel, magazine tube, 4 ends. Both of them have flashlights on there. Slings, all right? So the next thing to talk about is slings. If you needed to, I don't know, drag a down family member or whatever, maybe you ran to your neighbor's house for some reason, or your law enforcement had to climb up a ladder. I mean, this video is not really for law enforcement, but tons of different reasons. Take somebody into custody, maybe the person that broke into your house, maybe you put them down, maybe you got a couple of family members with guns and you don't want to wait for the cops, you want to like hog tie them or something. I'm not recommending that, but whatever the deal is, you can sling the gun out of the way so you could go hands-on. Or if you had to fight with somebody, maybe they rushed you or whatever, it'll be a little harder for them to get the gun away from you because you got a sling on you. Again, you could also drag a down family member that might have been wounded into a bedroom and kind of hold on the door or something. And it's a long gun without a sling is like a handgun without a holster, if that makes sense. So good piece of gear there. Moving to the other side, we have shell holders, right? Spare ammunition. This one is a plastic version. You can see I got these dummy rounds in here. This holds 6 rounds, all right? So when you need to reload, you can pull out of there and put it in the mag tube, all right? This one over here is, it's got elastic and it's Velcro backed, it's Velcroed onto the gun. I could pull it off, so I'm on the range, or if you're using it tactically, you can disregard it and pull a fresh one out of your bag, throw it on there, and you got spare ammo ready to go. From there, we got different types of sights. Here's the rear sight, front sight. Just like on this shotgun over here, this one's got all sorts of windage and elevation adjustments here. It's got a front night sight. It's also got a rail, and on it is mounted a red dot sight. Just makes it for quicker target acquisition, and when you're shooting slugs at distance, a little bit more precise shooting, quicker engagement as well. What else? Talked about the flashlight. That's a good once over for the shotguns.